So welcome everybody to the Billionaires Club Meetup group. Let's just take a moment to kind of let go of the day. Breathe that out. All that tension from driving here, trying to find the church. Breathe that away. Get rid of it. Feel that connection. The energy that builds up in this room is what's so remarkable. That's one of the things we love about this group. So getting your energy connected here with what's here. What's great is that we come here and we'll be presenting, of course, some material, but what you're going to get from it is what you're going to intend to get from it. And so what we want you to do is set your intention. What do you want to get from being here today? What do you want to walk away with knowing that you don't know right now? And then just kind of breathe it away. Just let it go. See what happens. So who is new to the Billionaires Club? Never been here before. Oh, yeah. Yay. All right. Always have at least about a third. So give yourselves a round of applause for coming out, trusting us. We appreciate it. You're one of 1,400 people now. We have over 1,400 people in the group. I have no idea how that happened. Must be law of attraction.
Must be.
Yeah. How about law of attraction itself? Anybody pretty new to law of attraction? Maybe, there's always a couple, yeah.
Okay.
One, two, yeah, okay.
Kathy's
good
pretty
for
new.
you, yeah. So a neat thing about law of attraction is it's like gravity. It's always been here, and you kind of trip over it once in a while, but it helps to know how it actually works. And having a conversation with a young lady here a few weeks ago about the analogy with gravity, that you can't design an airplane without knowing gravity, right? But everybody knows gravity, right? But when you know because of your experience, but when you get into the details, you can counteract use the law of aerodynamics on top of gravity, which helps the plane take off. It's one of the reasons they couldn't figure out how to make planes for till a couple, 100 years ago or so, 150 years ago. It's because they didn't understand that extra piece. And it's just like law of attraction. It is a law of the universe. It's built in. It's foundational. It's everywhere at once. So it's working whether you want it to or not. So why not learn how it works? At least that was our opinion when we found out about it.
That was definitely our opinion.
Yeah. And it's so cool because all of a sudden life becomes predictable again. Like you knew when you were a kid that you could do anything, right? You knew you were a superhero. You had that excitement for life, and then it gets kind of beat out of you over time. Well, we're here to tell you that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be that kid, right? Where you know that everything's supposed to work out for you. That's the law guarantees that it can. The question is, why isn't it? Well, that's what we'll talk about here today. So my name is Kevin Young. I'm a partner in personal success programs. My lovely wife, Suzanne. I'm a coach, trainer in law of attraction. We do workshops, coaching programs, this online stuff. Our third in command, Mimi Brown, we don't see her much anymore. She's a professional speaker.
She got so busy manifesting an amazing life.
She's the queen of manifestation. She's hanging out with the Channel 4 people on Live at the D on Friday mornings, and she's an amazing person. We kind of miss her around here, but
she says she's coming in December. We'll see.
Yeah. And then we have the support staff. People who are here today, Deb and Kathy and Susan, I think, are probably all out in the hall right now.
Wonderful support people out there in the hallway.
You ran into them, yeah. Couldn't do it without those guys, so we would like to give them a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. That's for you out there.
Before we had that wonderful help, I had to sit out there and not even be up here in the front when we started, because you know how people are checking in, and so yay for the help.
Yeah, it's all volunteer here. Only reason we charge is to pay for the church and the cookies. We're here to have fun and build a community. Which brings us to the mission. Billionaires Club was created as a place for like-minded souls to gather and share knowledge and experiences surrounding the universal law of attraction, like we were just talking about. Law of attraction itself is just the foundational piece, however. There's a whole bunch on top of it that really helps you to get the most out of it, so that's what we're going to be getting into. We pretty much just told you the law of attraction already. It's like attracts like. If that's all we had to do, you'd be going home now. But there's a little bit more to it. Our vision has been, since we took over in, about 2.5 years ago, a little more than that, the group, to build a community of naturally influential, self-empowered, and self-responsible leaders to help return Metro Detroit to its world-class status that it once had. And that's you guys here. You are those leaders just by being here and understanding how you're attracting and how you're influencing, you don't have to go out and do anything. Just be more of yourself. And then you become that influence. People start to see you become more successful, happier, more joyful, better relationships, your health improves. All that comes from doing this work. So as you do that work, people are going to want to know, what are you doing? What's going on with you? And that's how it spreads. So no effort involved. Just take care of yourselves, and you'll spread that to everybody. We only have one rule. It's just more of a guideline, just no solicitation of products and services on our website, on email, or here at the group. No spreading around of your flyers. Nobody's done that in quite a while, so I don't even know why I read it off anymore. It's just law of attraction doesn't work that well when you have a scarcity mindset, trying to scattershot approach. It's about getting focused and aligned. And again, back to the scale we'll talk about here a bit. That's how we get our clients. They just show up. That's how you guys showed up. We didn't advertise this. Just you found it somehow, right? You followed the impulse, you're in a good feeling place, and boom, there's the website, or somebody tells you about it, or right? That's law of attraction. So good for you for finding us.
Good job.
We've been looking for you. Little housekeeping, cell phones, turn them on silent, stun, vibrate, whatever setting feels the best. We are recording the meeting, as we always do. We're now putting them on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So just go find personalsuccessprograms.com, just put that into the YouTube search bar, and you'll find us, and the recording will be up there. Usually gets up there within a week. Depends on how fast Katie is at putting it up there.
And because we're recording, and we love people asking questions or sharing thoughts or anything, we love that. I'll run to you, and I'm going to put the mic close to your mouth, and I know it's not easy. You want to back away. But that's the only way it'll show up on the recording. And if you do happen to hold it, which I don't mind, but not down here because you can't hear anything. When I'm down here, I'll hold it up here.
Yeah, that'll help us out. And this really helps out the people who can't be here, because with 1,400 members, obviously most of them aren't here. And so we have people in St. Clair Shores, we have people in Lansing who are part of the group. We've got some in California and one in Italy and a couple in the UK.
Obviously, they can't be here.
Yeah, they haven't found out how to do that yet. We had played around with live streaming at one point where we could do this live, but it's just a little bit too much expense and effort. So this is the next best thing. Record it and we just put it up on YouTube. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, we'll jump in with a few law of attraction success stories, just to help for those who are new to law of attraction understand how it works. You get a little bit of a demonstration of that. Let's see. Law of attraction review. The agenda's over there. Not that it really matters because we don't actually follow it that much anymore.
Not too much. That was years ago.
One of the things that we've learned is the most important thing about the law of attraction itself is that everything's always working out for us. You just learn to trust the guidance that comes. I have this nice agenda that I always put together, things I want to talk about, but I seldom follow it very much anymore because you guys have your agenda, and that's why we're here. So we just open up to what you guys have to pull through us and through each other, and then we see where it goes. And then you get the answers that you want anyway, and they'll be better answers because we've got a group mind here, and all you guys are channeling this information if you're in the same vibrational state that we are, and that's our intention, is to get you up here, keep you up here, so we can exchange that information. So we'll get into the main area, I keep what I have by giving it away, which is our theme for today. We're also...
Who's confused? Is anyone confused with that one? I keep what I have by giving it away. Go ahead, you can be honest.
Good.
All right.
That's the idea. Yeah. You'll find out that that's actually how it works, but we'll explain in some
try
detail.
to help you understand.
Yeah. And also I was going to offer up, if we want to talk a little bit about the elections, that's been really hot on some people's minds. I don't want to dive down into the negative stuff, okay? What turned out with the election was exactly what the country needs right now from a vibrational standpoint, having nothing to do with who is in office. Okay, so we'll get into that maybe just a little bit, and if you guys have questions about how this could possibly be a good thing, the way it turned out, then we'll explain that, because it really is. Things are always working out for us. Always, 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 always. Just got to know why. Get a broad enough view, and you can figure it out. Then we'll do wrap-up, and open networking is at 8. Please, if somebody lights up for you in the audience, go talk to them, because that's law of attraction in action. You learn to trust the guidance system that you have built into you. So if you guys are feeling good by the end, which is what we intend, then your guidance system is turned on. So if somebody, for whatever reason, strikes up a conversation, start talking to them. There'll be something there for you. It's the coolest thing. We have our workshops all the time, and we'll have people that will show up, and they'll have something in common, like they're from the same city in Ohio. Or we had one, my favorite one is the one guy who was selling a horse farm, and there was a lady who wanted to buy a horse farm. 6 people in a small workshop, and that's the kind of stuff that happens. So you guys have some vibrational compatibilities here. You've been attracted into this room, not just because of this message, but because of multiple layers of attraction. So open up to that. And that's where you start to prove the power to yourself. That is the coolest thing. And that's what we're all about. We can't prove any of this stuff to you, by the way. Right? Not a bit of it, because you have to prove it to yourselves. Your job is to manage your thoughts, check your feelings about the thoughts, and see what shows up. You close that loop. Again, we'll get into this in a lot more detail as we move on here.
You know why you can't prove it to yourself? I mean, we can't prove it to you, because you pick your own thoughts, and that's what's attractive in nature. No one picks your thoughts for you, and when I had that clarity, I thought, I really became empowered, even though when I bring stuff I didn't want to me, but I realized I did it, so I could change the way I'm thinking. It's very powerful once you get your mind wrapped around that. It's actually fun.
All right, any questions? Not that I've said much of anything. If you're confused by now, then we got a problem. So what we're going to do is talk about law of attraction success stories. We got a couple from us, and the reason we do this is so you guys can see how it works in practicality. Like what did we do that opened up the channel to where we got guidance to rendezvous with something that was important to us, and the universe just delivered it effortlessly. That's law of attraction. So success stories are very helpful. So we'll share a few, and then if you guys have one that pops into your mind as we're talking, like, oh yeah, I was thinking about this thing and I didn't take any action, but I just let it go, I was feeling good, and boom, it showed up anyway. That's law of attraction, right? So if something pops into your mind, then we'd love to hear it, because this is one of the most powerful segments here. So I'm going to start off, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So I've had a number of things actually happen since our last meeting. I got 2 right on the top of mind here. Let's see. So I had an idea for a workshop since about February of last year called the Emerging Intuitive. I think we even did a Billionaires Club meetup group on Are You an Emerging Intuitive? And an intuitive is somebody who simply has found a way to connect to that broader intelligence in some form, like a medium, somebody who connects with people who are not in a physical body anymore, psychics who can sometimes predict what's going to happen. Channels are becoming very popular now. There are people who can close off their own mind, and they learn to subconsciously translate other blocks of thought. Okay? In the old days, they were called sages and seers and prophets and so forth. These days, we call them channels. They just have the ability to quiet their minds and tune into that guidance and then speak for it. And when I discovered channels, I'm a very scientific guy. It was pretty bizarre stuff, and I was looking for the loophole. Like some places cannot be working. There's got to be somebody behind the scenes, or something's got to be not working, because scientifically it didn't make sense. Because I didn't understand that there was more beyond the 3-dimensional world. I was very physics, scientific, engineering oriented. But there's a ton more. There's 12 dimensions. We only got 3 here that we're running around in. There's all sorts of consciousness across this universe that we can all tap into. And so when you start to listen to the material that comes through somebody who's channeling, who's talking for another consciousness or group consciousness, the message is always extremely pure. There's never contradiction, and there's never any content at all that's down here. It's always right up here. And you can tell by the way it feels as you receive the message. So these capabilities are now becoming more widespread, because anybody can be a channel. All of you can connect to your broader source intelligence, your own inner being, and the broader consciousness that exists everywhere. It's just a matter of learning how to tune yourself, tune your brain, because everything is frequency-based. It's like a radio dial, we like to say. So if you're at 98.7 FM on the dial, you can't hear what's being broadcast on 108, right? Because you're in a different frequency. It's literally just like that. Consciousness is frequency-based. So if you want to hear what's being broadcast on the high frequencies, which all this other intelligence is, you got to be up here at the high frequency, and this is the high frequency, up here, feeling good. You get yourself up into this state long enough, which most people don't do, by the way, which is why this is still pretty obscure stuff. Get yourself up here long enough, then eventually you build a pure enough channel and you start to get guidance. People hear words, they get visions sometimes. A lot of people get visions. They'll feel impulses in their body. They'll guide them in certain ways. There are artistic people, musicians, who can completely shut down their brains, and then they open up to that guidance, and it just comes out of their hands. Like I can write now like that. Like even doing this, what I'm doing up here right now, I'm not reading off the script here. I'm bringing down what I'm starting to hear based on my knowledge, which is also tuning in to the messages that some of you out there are asking for. Right? So you guys are, law of attraction is fulfilling your requests, subconscious maybe a few of them, just through my words. That's how it works. Everything is always coming to you that you want. You just got to be in a receptive state. So all you guys can do this. And this is part of what we're trying to teach here. So the reason I wanted to explain that is that I seem to be attracting a lot of intuitives, people who are picking up that guidance. They're all of a sudden they're hearing messages. They're hearing, and when they follow the message, something shows up, or they hear a message from somebody else, or for somebody else. So receive the message, tell that other person, and something will turn out good for that person. It'll be exactly what that person wanted to hear. Well, this is an evolving thing, and this is not going to slow down. So for some reason, I'm attracting them. And they have nobody to talk to because this is weird stuff, right? You got to admit, hearing voices is pretty strange stuff, right?
Like
or getting
maybe
visions.
100 years ago, I think they called you a witch.
Yeah.
Maybe it was more. I don't know.
I think it was, but still, even today, I think they probably people would probably
today.
call you that.
In fact, there might be people right in the room right now who've really never heard of this concept, because I know I've met with people and I'll start talking. They've not heard of channeling. So if it's new to you, you're not alone. Many people, haven't heard of it.
Yeah, we're leading edge here, guys. We don't like to mess around with the mainstream stuff. We want to take you guys along with us. It's because as soon as you tap into that information, your life changes. You start getting guidance that will direct you towards everything that you want. So these people are coming to me, and for some reason, I rendezvous with them. And why? Because that's what I do. I'm a coach. I'm a support person. I love teaching. I love training. I love creating safe space for people so that they can explore their gifts. And so I had this idea for this emerging intuitive workshop, which would be a very confidential private group, but I never did anything with it. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I just got a hit on it. Just like, boom, you got to do this now. And so I did, and planned a workshop, just invited a few people. I think we had 6 or 7 people for 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon. And we were just going to do a little meditation, a little bit of free-form writing to see if we can get the channel information going. And wow, was it good. It was just like, boom, the energy just blew apart. I mean, people had these wide-open experiences, like some tears and some awarenesses about stuff. So that's when we knew we were on the right track. So then the neat thing here is that this means now this has opened up a workshop that I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I just proved this is really going to work, and there's a big group of people out there who want this support because they want to explore their own gifts. So just by following the impulse that I got when I was feeling in a good place, and I got that strong impulse, instead of going into my head and second-guessing it and worrying about the details, so let's just put it on. Invite a few people and see what happens.
I think it was 1 week, on Monday, you said, I really want to do this now, because we'd been talking about a year. And I said, let's go for it. Let's just pick some people and see if they want to come over. It was amazing.
So
nice job.
Yeah, well, and as the engineering scientific guy who always works things out on paper first, this kind of stuff is not familiar to me. Like taking that kind of a chance and just trusting that guidance, not that easy for me. So this is part of my journey, is to get better at trusting the guidance which comes from the solar plexus, which is where that guidance comes in. That's where this is being transmitted. It's not up here. Your thinking consciousness is different than the consciousness stream that comes through the solar plexus area. That's something I should probably mention. Solar plexus is a group of nerves behind the heart and stomach area that come together. They're actually brain cells, same kind of brain cells as up here. But they receive the broader intelligence. And this is where the emotional center is. This is why you have a gut feel, where you get that impulse to go forward. Or you have a pit in your stomach when you're second-guessing it. You're way down here. It's all the same place. That's the guidance system. That's what this chart means. So when you're in alignment with that broader intelligence, the thoughts you're thinking up here match the thoughts you're receiving down here. from broader intelligence. That's me, you're in harmony with yourself. So you can tell by the way you feel where you are on the dial. So that's all there is to it. You learn to tune into feeling good and change your thoughts so that you feel good most of the time, and you'll start to receive that guidance. It's just that simple. You're tuning the radio station up to where the guidance is. Just as most people stay down here and worry and blame and anger and fear just because of what's going on in their lives, and they don't do anything about it, and they don't have any clarity. They don't get the guidance, and life kind of doesn't go so well. But once you get consistently up here and learn how to train yourself to move up here regardless of what's coming at you from the outside world, then now you got the control back. Now you tap into the guidance which will route you around the bad things. It's like you have a big shield up now. All of a sudden the bad stuff just bounces off because it can't find you. It's not on the same frequency. Law of attraction will not bring it to you. It's really that simple. You have that much power. Most people don't exercise it though. So the coolest thing of the cool things that happened that day, kind of a long story here, I thought I'd wind in some law of attraction so we can do all at the same time, was that we did a 15-minute meditation, same one we played here at 6 o'clock, and right out of the meditation, part of the discussion, I said, did you feel anything? Did you hear anything? Have you received any impulses? And the very first lady, who we know has intuitive gifts, she said, yeah, I started to see a lot of pink. And then I saw some yellow, like a bright yellow, and then I saw some rocks and some legs there and ocean waves. Like, wow, well, that's pretty descriptive. And dawned on me. So what she just described was what Suzanne and I had picked. I think Suzanne actually picked the picture out of the cover of the book she just published today on Amazon that she had picked out 3 days earlier and had not shown anybody except me and the editor. So that lady described this, and this picture is very meaningful. It's got a lot to do with the book is called Stepping into a Life of Joy. We'll hand this around. You guys can look at it. So I had a lot of meaning to Suzanne, and this lady picked that right up. So that's an example of intuitive gifts. You all have those gifts, different ways, either seeing it through visions. Again, some hear it. Clairvoyance is visual, clairsentient is feeling, clairaudience is hearing. So those are the combinations of ways you can receive, or all three. Okay. So pretty darn cool stuff. I just send that around.
I got to say, I'm pretty excited because if you have been, has anyone been coming since we first took this over, coming to the Meetup? I know there's a few of you. And you know that, I don't know, about 6 months into it, finally I said, okay, I'm going to start. I've just started writing a book. And of course, now 2 years have gone by, and every now and then, is it done yet? Is it done? No. But the most fun part of the whole thing now, of course, is it done, but I attracted so much help along the way without any effort at all, just allowing it to unfold in the timing, divine timing, I call it, because I started out, honestly, the book was called Free to Be Me. This was back in 2014, because I had learned it really feels good to just be me and not worry about what other people are thinking. And then as it moved along and our life became just so full of joy, and then I realized I wanted a new title, like Stepping into a Life of Joy. Who doesn't want to do that? And really, honestly, when we talked about what we're going to do today, how's it go again? I keep what I have by giving it away.
Yeah.
This really made sense to me because not everybody wants to tell some miserable stuff that happened in your life. Most people don't really want to go there. But somehow I was drawn to write some of the things that went through on in my life. So what's fun for me when I think about it, I get to keep the joy I have right now because I was willing to share and give away my life story because it's a autobiography and then a law of attraction primer, so to speak, and give that away so that other people can learn that you don't have to stay stuck and settle for less and be in miserable relationships, because I was married twice before my wonderful husband, Kevin. We've been married 9 years, and both of them were verbally abusive, alcoholic men. Second time around, I kept thinking, how could I have all the bad luck, Because I didn't know about law of attraction. And eventually when I got introduced to it, it all came together for me. It was like the missing ingredient to happiness, because I heard about positive mental attitude, but I didn't know there was so much involved. And so when I all had this clarity and I looked back in my life and then I understood exactly how I did this and I attracted that, and even though it wasn't fun to be accountable, but what it was actually, because then I realized I have power now to know what the rest of my life will be like. It's always going to feel good because I like to feel good, and I choose the thoughts that feel good on purpose. And when I catch that little knot in my stomach and it's not feeling good, I was just telling Liz, I just start breathing deep and getting connected to Source again, and that anxiety goes away, and this is what we love teaching. But anyway, that's enough on my blabbing on, but I'm very excited to say that we've got that up on Amazon now, and you can, they said 24 to 48 hours. This is my first book. I have no idea how long it really takes, but hopefully it can help a couple more people out there besides the few that have read it
already. Yeah, I'm very excited. First of many.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, she's inspiring me. I've had several books in me, and so she's led the way. So did that spark any law of attraction success stories? Anything come to mind about receiving that guidance? And
Yay, I love it when people just jump right in. I'll tell my famous one. No,
Yes,
one of my. All right, so I'm sure a lot of you know who Wayne Dyer is. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was a few years ago. He was going to be in Detroit, and I thought about getting tickets, but none of my friends wanted to go down to Detroit with me, so I was like, okay, I won't do it. And I was going to a spiritual life church that taught this kind of stuff, and they brought up that they were looking for people to hand out flyers, and they'd get a free ticket to go see Wayne Dyer. I was like, cool, I'll go, but there was like 2,500 seats, and I was going to be in the $25 section, way in the back. So a few days before the event on a Friday, I started thinking, somebody's going to walk up and hand me $200 tickets, which put me right up front. So I was standing in line, and a former client of mine walked up to me and said, why aren't you in the VIP line? And I said, well, I have these tickets. And she said, well, I'm holding these 2 VIP tickets. I was thinking about you and going to send them to you. I said, oh, okay, thank you very much. So I went to the front and in the 5th row back, and then I started telling people around me how cool that was. And I said, Wayne Dyer is going to come down from that stage and shake my hand. And they said, okay, that'll be fun to watch. So he walked in the room and shook everybody's hand and got to the front of the room and got on stage. And I thought, he's already on stage. He's not going to come down. And I said, no, he's going to come down. He's going to shake my hand. He got off the stage, walked down. I got up, shook his hand. I have very cold hands. And after he shook everybody's hand, he went, wow, your hands are really cold. Wayne Dyer noticed my coldness. And then I wanted to have a picture taken with him, which I did. So, which is all cool because he's no longer physically here. So that's cool.
Nice, thank you. Good job. You got one back there?
Well, I love the law of attraction, and you do it on the 3rd Thursday, which was a dilemma for me because I had another commitment. And as I was looking at the schedule and then yours was popping up, I thought, this isn't a good feeling. And as soon as I decided that my agenda just changed, things opened up. So one of the things that opened up is a business that I've been in for 5 years. It's also been kind of held as a dilemma and wanted some coaching because technically I knew exactly, and it was winning that part, but my head was in the game and my heart was missing. So I had this mentor and who I followed and trusted 100%. And funny enough, they began a new coaching session, and it's more about coming from the heart. And so this is a person I trusted completely. I'm like, what happened to the head stuff? And they were like, it was just kind of interesting that it happened. So the other, I guess, catch was, well, I'm in school, and I just couldn't possibly have the time until I'm done with school, and I finished December 19th, and this program starts December 20th.
Nice. Good manifestation. There you go. Peace cave. Okay, time for one more here.
This is a minute one, but so the work schedule came out, and on Thursday I was scheduled to work, and I completely forgot about this meetup. And then one of my coworkers said, "Can I please take your shift? Can I please take your shift? I need hours." And I was just being playful, and I was like, no. I wasn't too sure about it. And then I just silenced myself. She asked me again, and then I just listened to my intuition, and then I was like, sure, take it. And then I get back home, I look at my calendar, and I see the meetup. And I'm like, wow. And it was 5 to close, so it would have been completely right during this time. So that was the most reason.
Nice job. That's how easy it is. That's getting out of your head. This is part of that, and you did it beautifully, Mark. It's easy. We second guess. We get the guidance, and then we say, well, wait a second, and the brain starts going, wait, what about this? What about this? What about this? If you learn to trust that guidance, you open up to that guidance, it's always right. It's never not right. It's always right. It has to be right because there's a broader view that can see where you can't see. Right? Higher dimensions is like if you think about you being three-dimensional, up, down, left, right, forward, back beings. You think about a two-dimensional world that's like a checkerboard. If you were to look at that checkerboard from the top, you can see everywhere on it, right? There's no place that's obscured from your view, right? You can move the checkers around. You can always see where they are, right? You can always, a third-dimensional being can always see everywhere in a two-dimensional world, right? By definition. That's what having the extra dimension gives you. Your broader intelligence is at a higher dimension. It can see everywhere inside the third-dimensional world, just the same way we can see everywhere in a two-dimensional world. So you can always trust it. It is you, the broader part of you, that's not flowing in the body right now, and it has the broader view. So you learn to tap into that guidance, intelligence that's coming through here. It is always right, because you would never fool you, right? It is you. It just has a bigger view. So learning to trust that is what this is all about. And you can always trust it if you're feeling good. You're up here in this top 5 area right here. And you're good at being in this top 5 area. Some people will pop up here for half a second, and then before they know it, they're down here. They get an impulse, and something doesn't work out. Like they don't trust their guidance. Well, that's the problem is you got to be up here consistently. You learn to build the momentum up here and tune into the emotions. It's one of the things that is hard to do, and was very hard for me because I was brought up in a world where emotions were a dangerous thing. There's a lot of pain in my upbringing, a lot of sudden anger, a lot of shut down feelings. So I learned to numb those cells, so I didn't have the emotions. So my guidance was turned off, so that's why it popped into my head so much. It's the only thing I had. It served me just fine. But now we start to integrate the two. Ooh, it's a great combination because you're supposed to have both. Right? There are times you want logic and reason and working with the three-dimensional world. Tap into that guidance, though, and all of a sudden you're not doing this kind of stuff anymore. You're up here. The dips don't go down very far. If they do, you pop right back up, and you just float on the surface. And then the guidance comes along, and you zig and zag, and all the bad stuff kind of goes around the other direction, and you never run into it. Because vibrationally, it never fails. You're on this frequency, everything else that's on that frequency has to match. You're down here, everything else on that frequency has to match. You're the magnet. You get to pick. Up here, down here. Your choice. It's just that easy. And the guidance is the key.
Up here feels good, down here doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Any questions? Sorry.
Yeah, unless you want to.
Some strange reason you don't want to feel good. And actually, there's benefit in not feeling good, believe it or not. There's always benefit in the contrast. You drop down here, what you're doing down here is gaining clarity on what you do want. Yes? Right? If you look for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people don't look for it. They stay down here and then they complain that they're down here. Right? It's just the thoughts are what create the emotions. Right? What you're thinking is what's vibrating here inside your own body, creating your own emotions. Those thoughts create the emotions. It's never the other way around. You never have an emotion without a thought behind it. He says that we've learned to numb, just like I did. We've learned to numb the emotions that we get. So then we don't make the connection between what we're getting and what we're thinking. So you got to reconnect with that feeling center. Re-energize those emotions on the inside. Doesn't mean you have to express them all over the place on the outside necessarily, but you got to feel them on the inside, or you won't have the guidance. Any questions on that? You want to jump in here, Marilyn?
Well, I've been having a lot of issues with my neck and my back, kind of, and I kept trying to figure out what was going on, and I've been to the chiropractor and all that, and I'm thinking that there's something stressing me, but I can't identify what it is. I mean, so do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, you know the Louise Hay material?
Yeah.
Do you want me to look it up?
Did you
Yeah.
look up what neck situations?
Well, it's funny. I don't know if I did look it up.
Do you
Okay.
want us to? We have a little app on our phone. Well, just
Right
on the
here.
iPhone. Only if it's okay. I mean, we don't have to. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Well, if it talks about something going on in Mary Ellen's personal life, I won't read it.
Oh, man, but never mind.
We'll email it to you. So for a little explanation.
There is an app for your iPhone. You can buy it for like $4.99 or something.
So an explanation of what this is. Louise Hay, who's a famous author, wrote many, many books, was a therapist for many, many years, had a very abusive childhood, discovered law of attraction, had cancer when she was like, I don't know, in her teens, late teens, I think, found out how to cure it. And she cured it by changing the vibration that created it. Okay? So everything's vibration. All illnesses are created by being down in this area on some subject for prolonged periods of time. The body, you interfere with the body's ability to self-correct at the frequency and in the pattern based on the thoughts. So that's why people who get cancer or heart attacks, I had a brain tumor, have similar thought patterns. And this book, she cataloged it through her therapy patients for years and years and years. It's really a remarkable book. Everybody should have a copy of this book. In the back, there's the list of the illnesses and the emotional diagnoses that she came across. It's remarkably accurate. You look through this, and you'll know somebody who had X, Y, Z, and you look it up, and you look at the emotion behind it, and it's like, that's that person, or maybe it's you. So
The thing is, nobody ever manifests an illness on purpose. That's why it's a good question, Mary Ellen, because many times we aren't paying attention to our emotions, and Mary Ellen is so wise about knowing how powerful your emotions are and everything. And so somehow she's saying to herself, all right, how did this neck pain start? Like, it's good to question so you can take a look back and maybe figure out where it's all coming from.
yeah, the advantage of any kind of feedback like this is you don't need this when you get the hang of caring about your emotions, but most of us are just not there. We've been trained to put up with pain in the society, right? No pain, no gain. That's just noise,
Who's heard of that? Anybody ever heard of that?
Right, that's nonsense. Pain is an extension of negative emotion. It's long-term negative emotion. It turns into pain, turns into illness. That's just the mechanism. And the reason that we know that is because therapy is now, we have a friend in California who had just found out about a month or 2 months ago she had breast cancer, like a 4-centimeter tumor. She announced today that she is cancer-free. Why? Because she understands this, and she went to a therapy that changed her thought processes. She immersed herself in the positive energy side. If you look at the movie The Secret, some of you have probably seen that. There's a lady in there who's done that also. It took her about 3 months. You can reverse any illness because the illness is created by the thought process itself that matches the vibration that matches the illness. So to kind of get off the subject here for a sec, but to follow up Mary Ellen, so neck problems, refusing to see the other side of a question, stubbornness. Uh-oh, I'm hearing something. Well, see, and that's the thing. So the reason that we have this is these are indicators which are usually pretty darn accurate, right? Vibrations don't lie. So it's when we're still not quite tuned into the emotion, we maybe have a childhood trauma or something. You know, I had a lot of that stuff. I still got stuff coming up, and I work with people to bring it up and out. The childhood traumas are what get in the way of us moving forward in life. So some of them are still buried down in there for all of us. We all got stuff that keeps us from moving forward. So there could be something that's still below your subconscious, your conscious level, down in the subconscious. So when you get an indicator like this in a physical manifestation, you can look at that and say, oh, look at that, what I attracted. Okay, so what that means is there's a part in me that is maybe being a little stubborn about some situation, being inflexible. Maybe I got my heels dug in a little bit too tightly on some subject. And that kind of gives us an extra piece of information to start thinking about it. And maybe in the middle of the night, you'll wake up and you'll say, oh, it was that issue with that person that I haven't resolved yet. So that's the purpose of this kind of material. It's not a substitute for our own emotional guidance, but it's an adjunct to it. It's just like you don't have to give up going to doctors when you do this work, because doctors are helpful while you're doing the work. But you want to be moving towards being more and more aligned so that your body takes care of itself. Do you have a question, Ryan?
Well, I agree that's what I was thinking. It was probably something subconscious. But today I was listening to Abraham Hicks, and she was saying if you're attracting it, it's conscious.
Right.
If it's unconscious, you're not attracting.
Right, but it's not. But you've numbed the emotional guidance. So it can be conscious, but if you don't feel it, you don't know it's there.
It's like when, when you go out and somebody says, how are you today? And you go, oh, I'm fine. But you left the house, you're not really fine. But it's natural to say, I'm fine, because you don't want to say, oh, my life is miserable, blah, blah, blah. And so it's easy to say things, but deep inside we're feeling something, but we've, like Kevin says, numbed it. In other words, we don't recognize it yet. And that might be something that's going on, and it is a good awareness just to start becoming aware of it. That's how it begins.
Yeah, they're all just indicators, and there's no negative connotations either. We don't ever get into self-judgment about this stuff, because that just holds you out of alignment. Liz?
So what's a thought process to help support her after she knows? You know how it says in the book?
Good point, Liz. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So
if you want to get that little app, it's called Heal Your Body for a phone app, but the book is called
You Can Heal Your Life.
You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah. The book itself actually has more illnesses and the remedies than the app does. The app is older. So then Louise Hay comes up with a countering affirmation that's up here that you can say. And so thank you, Liz, for that, reminding me. The new thought pattern is, it is with flexibility and ease that I see all sides of an issue. There are endless ways to do things and see things. I am safe.
They totally get that sometimes.
You get it too?
I've talked to being stubborn sometimes.
Okay. She says she's also stubborn sometimes.
No, I do get neck pain.
Okay.
And I'm never going to get it wrong, and I'm never going to get it done. So I'm just knowing that I just need to flow. I need to be more flexible. And that is an issue that comes up sometimes for me, is neck pain. So, flexibility, just
Yeah, there you go. So
just
now
relax.
Just relax. Nothing's going wrong here, guys. Nothing's going wrong anywhere, anytime. It feels like it in the moment when you're micro-focused on something. That's where the news does the biggest disservice, is that it goes and finds some little conflict someplace and then amplifies it all over the place, and then you think the whole world's falling apart. And when only that little corner of the world is falling apart. But what that does is the people who don't understand what you guys understand here is that they don't know that they're attracting that reality. And so they stay down here in fear and they attract more of it. And then more of it shows up and they go into fear and then they attract more of it. And eventually it's got to get so big that there has to be an adjustment. Basically a revolution, an explosion. Like that's what illnesses are. When you get one of those life-threatening illnesses or something that just hits you over the head, well, that's you just not having acknowledged your emotions and done anything about it until it gets big enough till you do acknowledge it. We all have thresholds. That's all. There's nothing going wrong with that. It's not a bad thing. It's just we all have that threshold. The world is on one of those thresholds right now. And so there is going to be some big shake-up stuff coming here. Because it can't go on being down here pointing fingers at everybody else that's in the world. It's your fault that I don't have this thing that I want, or you did this to me, so now I'm going to do this to you. That's all. That's revenge, that's hatred, that's jealousy, that's powerlessness. No, they're just going to keep attracting and attracting and attracting until eventually something will break. And I don't know what it's going to be. Might be our government, might be a world war, I don't know. But something will adjust. And then people will be faced with reality, which is that they're creating this. And that's what we're here for. That's what you guys are here for, is to help counteract that a little bit. Start to take ownership of whatever's coming into your life. Let it bounce off if it doesn't feel good. Don't react. Don't be emotional about it.
It might seem hard to believe that you could avoid any tragic thing that might be going on or but honestly, for years I used to sell lingerie at home parties, and I was a divisional leader we had 150 women in the group. And a lot of my team would not go down into Detroit, into scary neighborhoods, because of their fear that this was back when there was no cell phones or GPS. So they had a fear that what would happen if my car broke down or I might get in trouble. And so they refused to go there. And I always was excited to go because I loved the business. It was so much fun getting out with the girls. Well, it wouldn't be selling lingerie at home parties. And so I went down with the attitude, and this is the choice. I went down, couldn't wait to have fun with these ladies, help them find some nice lingerie, and I made money on top of it. Like, who couldn't have fun on that evening? I never, in 28 years of doing that, did I ever have any trouble in any neighborhood whatsoever, because I set my intention and I knew how to feel good on my way to the party. And that's all it takes is to avoid anything that might be down in a low frequency, is you holding your own energy of feeling good despite what you're looking at around you. That's the key right there. I could look into the neighborhoods and be scared it was dark, blah, 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 but I didn't because I couldn't wait to go and be there and have these women welcome me. So it's all in your mind, the way you think. It's really powerful.
You just have to do it long enough to start to prove the power to yourself. That's the key, momentum. So going up here and having one happy thought and then dipping down here into your anger isn't going to get it because the momentum is down here. Every thought counts. You have 60,000 thoughts a day or whatever the number is. Every thought counts because you build momentum on the vibration that you're at. So if you're down here and worry a lot, then it doesn't take very long, 68 seconds, before law of attraction has enough to start moving energy around and people and places and circumstances to start heading your direction that will continue the worry. It has access to everything. There's nothing off limits. It has access to everything. So if you stay there and worry, you're going to get things to worry about. So the secret, as Suzanne said, then is to catch it when you realize, oh yes, here's the third thing that showed up that matched the frequency of worry in my life. Maybe I should do something about it. Yeah, then you do something about it. So the secret then is now to start moving yourself up and find ways to feel better. And stay up here long enough so you build some momentum. And it doesn't really take that long. Walking in the park, playing with a puppy, playing with the baby. You got two of them
I got
staying
my
with
little
us.
grandkids visiting this week.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Love the grandkids. So that's the work. And then as you do that over time and you make it very intentional to stay up here more often, then the whole world, your universe has to morph and change around you. That's the law part. It has to, and it does. We're living examples of this. This is why we want you to prove this to yourself. We got a little bit off the main theme, but a lot of this is in keeping with the main theme of I keep what I have by giving it away, because it's getting into the flow state, not being attached to the things. Because when we're attached to things, we're down here in scarcity. We're down here in fear. So let's say we get into that subject a bit. We still got a little time left.
Just a little.
Before I do that, I just want to be sure, not sure I really want to get into anything about the election, but were there any short questions about the election results? Anything? You have one?
Yeah, one.
You said you would give us ideas on how to look at it from a positive standpoint.
Yeah, I'll do a real quick rundown, and then if you want to talk later, we may actually if things keep going the way they are with people's opinions, we may do another whole meetup on this. So here's some key points to keep in mind. Okay, if you're kind of getting law of attraction, right? We attract what we focus on. What we're a vibrational match to is what has to show up. Okay, so Trump won because he had the most energy focused on him. It wasn't because the elections were rigged, and maybe they were. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. Vibrationally speaking, the people who voted against, who are so wanting Trump not to be there, all the energy that they put on him collectively is what got him elected. Right? Attention.
It's all about energy.
Yeah,
It's all about
energy flows where attention goes. It's like that's the way it works. So those who were pushing against Trump the loudest were the ones who helped him get elected. Right? Your
They
focus.
didn't know it, though. They didn't really understand it. That's
Yes.
all.
But so that's just the way energy works. So it doesn't matter if it's what you want or what you don't want. You put the focus on it, you're going to get it. That's how it works. That's why it's important to pay attention to how it feels, what you're focusing on, right? Not what you're focusing on. The thing doesn't really matter. Your question?
No, I just have a statement. Have you seen the little meme that's going around from Kurt Cobain from 1993,
Probably not.
where he basically said that Donald Trump will be our president?
Really? Yeah, from Nirvana? The late Kurt Cobain?
Donald Trump, he grew up going to Norman Vincent Peale every Sunday. So, and he was so laser focused, and no matter what happened to him, he just seemed to keep getting up and dusting off and staying focused.
Yeah, and that's another point there around that. He probably won't actually make it all 4 years, because the goal was to win. It wasn't to lead the country. So.
All of that, everything's open for
So now
vibrational changes. You never know.
You can speculate to the ends of time as to what that means. And we're not going to get into a political discussion here, because this is about vibration.
That's actually wonderful.
She found it.
sad to say, is helpful. I mean, I have never in my entire life felt such visceral, negative. I usually hang out at the top end, but during this election, you know, I did dip. And
Good.
so you're
Good.
suggesting, and I hate to say it, but it makes sense, that I was part of the bottom feeder.
Well,
Who
just
got
in
him
maybe in that
elected.
moment, yeah. And don't beat yourself up for
Well,
it again.
I'm not going to,
Good.
but
Good.
still,
Yay!
I never had such a visceral reaction, and that was probably powerful than anything.
Yes.
You
So
and
you
many
now,
other people, and that's why it was so powerful.
so you now hit on the next piece of it, okay? Which is that what we don't like in the candidates or anybody else's in our lives must be vibrationally present in us, or it wouldn't have any significance. It wouldn't get past our filters. Wouldn't even show up on our radar. Okay? That's why when you have an argument with somebody, they piss you off, they do something that you don't like, you got that vibration. You might not have that exact personality trait, but you have the same frequency. There's something that's powerless, and this is one of the biggest benefits of this election, is that it brought up the feelings of powerlessness and fear and anger and revenge that we all have collectively as a society. It's bringing it up to the surface to be released. That's a good thing.
Like you said, you never felt that strong before. It brought that up in a lot of people because there was so much on television. I mean, if you watched it, you got drawn into it, and that's the way law of attraction works.
So people like Trump or the news, CNN, Fox, whatever, the latest one is that's focusing on the negative, is a manifestation of the population. It's never the other way around. It's not the news is out there and they're blasting this and hurting all of us. Everything's an attraction. We created the news. We created Trump society. It's a group manifestation.
If you want to bring your vibration up, you could stop watching the news. If you feel like you need to be informed, you can watch it a little bit if you want. But trust me, we stopped watching the news a long time ago. And when something big happens, someone always tells you. You go out. Did you hear what happened? No. And so you hear it.
You attract what you need.
It's always up to you. You get to choose what you're going to listen to and put in your mind. It's always your choice.
Yeah. So it's great feedback, right? If something pisses you off, something presses your buttons, it's feedback. You haven't been paying attention to your emotions. Again, it's just like the illness. The illness shows up, you haven't been paying attention to your emotions. Boom, do something about it.
I'm always examining myself. I was at a networking meeting, and a gentleman came in late, and he always comes in late, and then he took up way too much time in his 1-minute commercial. And I found myself getting irritated, and I'm thinking, what is my problem here? And I let it go. But when I got home, I started thinking, what was my problem? I was triggered by that whole little incident, not because of him, because I understand something in me is still I'm hanging on to. And as I allowed myself to go back into the feeling, I came down, and this is kind of funny, but I came down to when I was 16 years old, I had gotten my driver's license and was driving home, and I was running late because when you're 16, you're running late. I got home safely. I got up in my bedroom, and all of a sudden my dad walks in, and he said, I see you were out with the car today. And I said, yeah. And he said, were you going the speed limit? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you sure you were going? And I said, yeah. And he said, no, you weren't. I was following you. So I was caught in like a rat, And then I also realized I was breaking the law and all this stuff, and all that anxiety of someone trying to go against the rules, which was me, was this guy going against the rules. It wasn't him particularly. It just triggered that emotion in me, and I let myself sit with it long enough to realize, oh, I guess I never got over that little incident with my dad. I'm over it now. But it was an awareness for me, and that's how you can continue to let go of those things that trigger you, and you let yourself go a little further into, where did that really start, that feeling? It's just a feeling.
Yeah, that's a really important point. 'Cause all these traumas, all this negative stuff that we carry around down here comes from childhood. Maybe 8 years old. You get up to about 8 years old, all those traumas have been created, and we bring them forth into adulthood, and they get triggered. Right? And that's again, it's a great example, a great benefit. So if something's irritating you, you just got it inside. As our good friend Kathy back there said to us a few meetings ago, if you spot it, you got it.
That's a quote from Kathy.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Kathy.
Oh, she got it for somebody else.
Yeah, so it's great feedback. Again, you're not paying attention to how you've been feeling, and you let it go, you're going to get manifestations. They're going to start showing up. So when you start getting that negative stuff in your face, do something about it, and then they'll go away. That's the cool thing about all relationships, is that if you do this work, The people who are in your life who are upsetting you are at the same frequency. They have to be. They wouldn't be in your life. That's just how the law of attraction works, right? So if you want them to go away, or that energy to go away, you have to do this, right? You come up the scale, right? And the neat thing is, they either have to come up with you, because vibrationally you always get where you're at, or they have to go away. Right? The law of attraction will do the work. You don't have to do the work. Just let it do the work.
And you're wondering, how does that work at family gatherings, which are coming up? You know, you bring your vibration up, and there's going to be, you know, Ornell Joe or the uncle or something. And what happens is, interestingly enough, as you set your vibrational frequency higher because you have an intention, you're going to feel good no matter who's there. What happens is they just end up, the law of attraction pulls you apart because it's so far apart, the energy. They go into another room. They sit at the far end of the table. You don't hear what they're saying because the law of attraction always matches up like energy. But if you go to the, let's say, family reunion or something, and you're thinking, oh, he's such a complainer, and you're thinking all the things you don't like about that person, guess what? I bet you're going to rendezvous because when you are thinking low-frequency thoughts, the low-frequency person comes right up and says, hello, you know, so that's how it works.
And our next meeting that we're going to do in about a month or so is putting the happy back into your holidays. It'll be on that subject. We'll talk more about how to manage the relationships and money and so forth at the holiday time, which is where all that stress comes out. Yep. So there are more, but I don't know if I want to get into any more. Yeah, is there any other questions about the election and why it's so valuable to us? We can talk afterwards if you guys have.
Or any other questions about how you, the topic tonight, how you keep.
Yeah,
I can't even
well, I'll go into it. Yeah, so I keep what I have by giving it away. So I got that actually, there was a TV program back in the 90s called Small Business School, and you saw it on public television. I loved that show. They went around the country and interviewed small businesses, found out how they succeeded. And that was back when I was just first starting my first computer business. And they interviewed the owner of Katz Deli in Austin, Texas, and he said, I keep what I have by giving it away. And I thought, well, that's pretty bizarre. I didn't know about law of attraction, so I had to listen a little bit more closely, and what I discovered was that what it means is the giving part, by giving it away, is the energy exchange. Because the energy, money is energy. Everything's energy. Everything. Physical is energy. Money is energy. It's a value exchange. It's energy exchange, right? It's just pieces of paper we use to represent the value exchange. We used to use cows and chickens and beads to exchange value, right? If you had something somebody else wanted, you'd exchange something. Money is just a value exchange. What we're really giving away in this term, I keep what I have by giving away, is the illusion of control and scarcity, which are low-frequency vibrations. Right? Why don't we give things away? Because we're afraid that we won't have them when we do give it away, right? Money, stuff, right? So there's a belief then that if I give it away, then there won't be any to replace it. Right? Scarcity mindset. So that's down here, low vibration, fear. There's also an action component too, making things happen. I think really the scarcity is the big one. So this is about what we were talking about earlier, building trust in the law of attraction, that you're a valve. You're an energy valve. And this is how open your valve is, or how closed it is. What comes in, goes out. When you breathe in, you don't just hold it, right, for the rest of your life. You got to breathe out, right? There's a flow that always occurs in nature, in our bodies. So the flow of money, resources, energy is all the same subject. Law of attraction is managing it. The more that we hang on to what we have, it's like this. I forget how the saying goes. When you have something and if your hands are full, you can't receive more, right? And usually we're holding on to old stuff too that we don't really want, but we're just afraid of letting go. So there's not enough room for the new stuff to come. It's the same equation. You're the valve. So the higher the frequency of your thoughts are, the more your valve is open. The more energy can flow through you. Energy is in forms of everything, all resources. Money, love, health, all comes through the same channel when you're more in alignment. The more you are down on this scale, then the more you're shut off, the more closed you are, and stuff cannot get to you. The thing about the law of attraction is that this three-step process, and I know a lot of you guys are familiar with Abraham material. The first step is that you ask for what you want, and that's happening as you live. You don't do it intentionally. You have an experience out there that you don't want, you've created an ask. You literally have, when you have a bad relationship experience or something, you've asked for a better relationship experience. That's inherent in the awareness of the unwanted situation. It literally shoots out of you and becomes part of your own broader intelligence. Your own broader self sees, oh, he had this experience, so therefore he wants this, and holds the spotlight on those things that we want. All the things that we want are being held in this. It's called an escrow by the Abraham Hicks people, vibrational escrow. That energy is actually now attracting. Law of attraction, step 2, kicks in, starts bringing this stuff to us. So everything we want is on its way, believe it or not. Everything that we want, that we've desired, even stuff we don't even know we want yet, because it's still below our radar, because we're still focused on the lack of it, is on its way, right around us all the time. So why isn't it here? It's always the question. Where's my stuff? Where's my money? Step 3, you have to be in the same frequency of the stuff you're asking for. You have to be in harmony with it. Because everything you want, all your desires, they feel good, right? Don't desires all feel good by definition? Right? So when you create a desire, by definition, its frequency is up here. So all you have to do is match the frequency, and now you get the guidance to take you to it and it to you, and the door opens. It's the same equation. The valve is you. You open the valve, and then the information, the energy can flow through you, and you get guided towards it. It's really that simple. So that's what's behind the saying, I keep what I have by giving it away. When you get into the giving state of mind, then you can receive. That's why tithing is in most major religions, right? It's 10% of your income, right? Or whatever the number is. I don't know all religions. Right. The reason is to get you into an abundant state of mind where you learn to live with less than you're taking in. So you have that freedom to send it out. So then you'll become abundant. That's the law of attraction mechanics behind it. That's why that's been in religions forever, because it works, right? So this is a practice. You got to practice this. Learn to just a little bit at a time, throw away old stuff that you're clinging to, that maybe you got old boxes, old stuff you're never going to use. Give it away. Just
Another way you
yourself
can
with that.
think about it, I like to think about it as the energy that's all of us, okay? And think of a trough of water. And if you stick your hand in this trough of water that's flowing, and what happens? The water behind it gets stopped, right? And if you're not giving it away, what you have is just all blocked up and not benefiting you at all. So as you remove your hand and continue to let everything flow in your life, that's how you keep getting more and more of what you have as you let go too.
Opening your fingers, yeah. That's the secret, yeah.
Yeah,
Everything
that's
you
it,
want by
that's
doing this. Yeah.
The hokey pokey.
Does that make sense so far, what we talked about? We talk a lot up here. We want to hear from you
We
guys.
do. Anybody else want to have a comment or anything, please?
Yeah, is it all making
Oh,
sense?
got one. Yay.
So I sort of practiced that for almost a year with helping someone, so giving away to help someone. But it got to a point where I was almost putting myself at risk. So
yeah.
how do you manage how much to give away?
Brilliant question.
That's an excellent question.
Absolute perfect question. Yeah, so the separation is between the mechanics of giving and the feeling of giving.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Make sense? All right, so just to kind of put a point on that, the giving part doesn't work if you're down here in fear. Right? And a lot of us do that, right? Mothers do that with their children. They give, right? Never get appreciated. They don't get appreciated because they're down here in worry or fear or powerlessness, and so you can't attract appreciation, right? Right? As they say, you put your oxygen mask on first, right? So you got to fill yourself up first. You got to take care of your needs first, right? Always, always, always. It's a selfishly wired universe. The law of attraction makes that so. What you're focused on is what you're going to get. And if you don't take care of yourself first, not only won't you get it, but you won't be able to give it because you've closed the valve off again. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? It was a great question. That's really one of the big issues in our society. People give, but they don't get something back, but they're giving from being in a fearful state. You're never going to get anything back that way.
Here's another comment.
The comment is that it's more so, is it coming from your intuition and that authentic desire? Because if that's the case and then it's up there,
Yeah.
it's not like a needy kind of nice guy, like trying to get approval from doing X or being a good guy.
pleasing somebody else. Brilliant.
Excellent point.
Yes,
This
right.
is Mark's first time, so let's give Mark a round of applause.
Yeah, love it when young people come to our meeting and,
Yeah, we'd like a
and
few
get
few
it more
more
than we
like
do.
you.
Yeah, yeah, that is exactly right. It is, and it always then comes back down to this energy, and that's another relationship thing we don't have time to go into. It's the idea that other people are there to make us happy, or we're there to please other people, or they are there to please us. Again, you're giving your power away. It's the same energy, Liz.
The easiest way is just how it feels when you're giving. I'm a huge giver. Suzanne, you know that. I'm a huge giver.
We know that, yes.
But when
She is.
people ask, and of course, great. It feels good for me. It feels good for them. It's a win-win. But then there's times that it's like, oh, I feel like I should get. No, they don't get it.
Yay! Tammy?
It can get dangerous.
And mine was just after a certain amount of time, it was not reciprocal, and it was they were taking advantage of the kindness too. So that got out of hand as well.
Well, giving isn't reciprocal. You're right. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's a really good point, Liz.
It's not reciprocal. I give because it feels good to me. I'm sickening selfish that way. Right? Because we're raised, some women are raised givers.
Yeah.
Like sick givers. Like we expect back from mom if I comb her hair. Then I'm going to get, a cookie. But as we grow, we know that it's about how we feel. And if we connect getting something from me giving something, then it's never going to work.
So that's that need of other people, pleasing other people, or needing to. You got to take care of yourself first.
It's all about you.
Yeah, it's all about you.
It's all about you.
Yeah, so it's great, and it's great that you had the awareness that that's what was happening.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're tuning.
I was just
Throwing it around the room. You guys.
That's right. Go for it.
I was going to say the same thing, is that you can't be attached to whatever you're giving it to and expecting it back from that same location. Energetically, it doesn't come back. So imagine like you have this giving account, an energetic giving account, and just fill it up and let it come from wherever it chooses to come.
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
And
Tammy.
another thing is to give to things. My understanding is that spiritually feed you, and sometimes we give to a person thinking that somehow we're helping them, and it's not really a feeding type. We're doing it for reasons that are not
Maybe guilt
higher,
or something that's unloaded.
the higher emotional.
That's a good point, and we're going to actually get into that more in the next meeting, where that's that whole idea of giving from a guilty standpoint as opposed to giving because you have abundance mindset. Yeah, so wherever you're at, that's what you're going to attract back. And I'll just touch on this briefly, that when you give, that's what you got to be real careful with charities. When you're in that mindset, we all want to be charitable, but if you're giving and you're seeing somebody as being disempowered and you're going to help them out, right? What are you saying to them? I don't think you can do it for yourself, right? Everybody can do it for themselves, they just don't know how. So nothing wrong with helping somebody in an emergency, of course, but you be careful how you're giving when you give. Don't give and see them as being disempowered, because you're holding them in disempowerment. That's why the best giving helps the person help themselves, teaches or promotes or involves them in the process or somehow, so it brings the energy back up, right? That's the only thing that actually works long term. That's why I have so many entitlement programs, is that they don't do that. They just channel money into people and hold them down. Right? You got to bring, it's got to be self-empowerment. You got to bring their energy up so that they can start attracting on their own. That's the mechanism. It's a great discussion. Thanks for bringing that up. So I was going to do, I'm not sure we're going to do the exercise. I'm going to go over the exercise I had. I don't know if we need to take time to do it today. It's pretty brief, but this is something I'd like you guys to know about. So one of the ways that you can tune yourselves to this guidance system is to start tracking when you have attracted things without effort, where you focused on something and something showed up in your life. It can be a person showed up at the right time. It can be money showed up. It can be, doesn't matter what it is. Something showed up at exactly the right time for you. You attracted it. You attract everything, right? So we call this a touchstone list. Touchstone comes from late 15th century where gold and silver were the coins. They took a black quartz, which was the touchstone, and they could rub it against the metal, and depending on the color that came off, they could determine if it was pure or not. If it had been debased, added with other metals, and watered down, then it would be a different color. So that's where a touchstone came from. But the idea is that a touchstone is a truth. It's a validation, so to speak. So you create a touchstone list of times when you've proved your power to yourself. When you have attracted something showed up, like we had a few stories here today, like our stories here, those are touchstones. Start recording that. This then reminds you of how powerful you are when you're in one of those situations where things aren't working. And you've got this list of demonstrations of your own power. So you can think, I'd like to start off with at least 5 times. Just write down when you were inspired to act on something and you acted and you got that result. Or you're just inspired and you didn't do anything, but the thing showed up because you're managing your vibration. You were staying in that optimistic state of mind, that place.
You know, you can have a desire or a dream. It could have been years ago, but you're staying in a nice high frequency, and then what's happening is it's allowing the opportunity for it to show up. As long as you stay there, you could be so surprised. That's what I was thinking about last year, and here it comes. Because you've raised your frequency generally higher, now it can come to you. It doesn't have to be instant. It could be something you were dreaming about before.
Yeah, this is a practice. So this is just like going to the gym. You're going to the gym, you're lifting the weights. You're doing this in your mind. You're practicing coming up here, and things are going to start to show up for you. One of the first things that started happening to me some years ago when I started doing this vibrational work, and I can't say I'm an expert at it still after all these years, but I work at it, is that I get front row parking places. Right? Big deal, right? But for me, it's really big validation because 80% of the time, doesn't matter where we're going, as long as I'm in a pretty good state, which I am more and more these days, it doesn't matter how full the parking lot is. Somebody will pull out right in the front every time. So how does that happen? Am I pushing people out of the lot with my thoughts? No, I'm rendezvousing, right? I'm in the guidance. I'm in the flow. It tells me exactly how fast to go down the street or when to turn or what route to take. And everybody else is being guided to manifest their own attraction at the same time. That's how powerful law of attraction is. It's running everything all at the same time. Everything is moving by law of attraction. So your desires can always be fulfilled because there's enough moving parts in this physical universe to fulfill everything that you want. The universe just opens different doors and drives different impulses.
Do you go in with that intention?
I'm sorry?
Are you going into the parking lot with that intention?
Am I going into the parking lot with that intention? No. No.
We did in the beginning. Actually, we did in the beginning because we thought, well, let's just try this out. Let's see if this stuff really works.
But this is a very good point that you're bringing up, Kathy. Very good point. No, the universe knows what I want.
Yeah, you don't have to say it out loud. If you've got that feeling going,
And that's a really important point. Hang on just a second. That's a really important point. We're taught that we have to set goals. We got to figure out what to do in life. We got to make it happen. No, all you got to do is live and be in alignment. You've been creating this vortex of desires. The universe is on it. Step 2, law of attraction is always working. Stuff is coming toward you all the time. Your only job is to rendezvous with it. It's already on the way. The universe knows that getting front row parking places is fun for me.
And I will share this quick little story. I met with this wonderful woman, and we had coffee, and we hadn't known each other, and I was just going over the law of attraction, how it worked and everything, and she was saying, oh, I've been applying for jobs, and nothing's working out. It's been like 4 or 5 applications I put in, and so we started talking about how would it feel if you went in, how do you want it to feel in the interview, the next one you have coming up, and she got going into this amazing thought process. I want it to feel this way and that way. My energy was raising, so was hers, and so we left, we hugged each other goodbye. She went off to the interview, and I heard from her later that she got the job. And that was without writing it on a goal sheet. It was because the energy, we both exchanged fun energy. I love helping people learn what it feels like to be in alignment, because that's all it took. And then the universe says, well, here you go. Feeling good? Here it is. You were worried all along with every interview. Oh, universe says, wait a minute, you're down here. I can't give you the gift. Your dream's up here. And that's what it is, just learning how to allow yourself to feel good. And I love doing that with anyone. So if you want to meet for coffee, we'll work it out.
Yeah, it's so much fun talking with people. Because everybody wants to feel good, and just we haven't been trained how to do it. It's really not that hard. It's not difficult to unleash that energy in people. That's why we love talking. That's why we love coaching, doing the workshops, is it just feels so good. My sister actually just did that also a month ago. She attracted her dream job. She's been getting closer and closer, and she finally did some of the work that I'm doing on myself as well. We tend to work in parallel oftentimes. We tend to manifest at the same time, and she just really got into it big time, started releasing some really old negative stuff, and boom, a job, 3 minutes from her house, and exactly what she wants to do. She tells me every day how happy she is that she's found this job. She's doing exactly what she wants to do, where her creativity can be brought forth, where she's appreciated. She's making more money than she's ever made. And she didn't go out looking for the job. That's the point. The universe knows what lights her up. She just got into alignment and let go of the doubt and the fear and the worry and all that kind of stuff, and it has to work out.
You know, one of the fun things I did for myself, I was working with a gal and I was coaching her. It's about touchstone lists. And she was saying, you know what I did, Suzanne? I started a touchstone list in my phone, so in her notes section. Every day when something happened, it could be little, the sun came out and it was a rainy day, whatever it might be, she started recording that, so when we get on the phone once a week, she could share her touchstone list with me. And it was so empowering because she realized every day she was manifesting really fun little things, some bigger, some small, but the parking place or whatever it was. And this you can do for yourself too. As you start recording every day, just things that you've manifested, and they may seem small, but you start your list, and that momentum keeps going. The universe saying, yes, you do it, you can do it. Yes, it's up to you. It's a great way to build your own momentum of empowering yourself. That's why we talk about this touchstone list.
Mary Ellen, did you have a question? We got another one here.
Okay.
You okay?
This is my exercise for the day.
We got about 10 minutes here.
We're sharing the floor today. All right, so the momentum thing. I had an experience that I focused on something of what I wanted. It was, could say a goal, but I did the activity that I needed to do, okay? So it was a few years ago, and it was like, by February, I've got to have this happen. So February, it happened. The next, what I wanted, I just wanted to keep up the momentum. And it was very interesting because I didn't really do much of the work. The momentum was so amazing that it actually took me to the next place in less time, okay, than I even expected it to be.
Good point.
Okay, so Kevin, here's the interesting dilemma that I have for myself. So I think that I have access to this higher frequency, okay? And then because the business that I'm in is attracting people who want the same thing, and then they have these limiting beliefs that I have no choice but to engage in.
You have no choice?
Okay, well...
Somebody get your mind in a vice or something?
Wrong word. So okay, so let me say this. So if I'm in this, if I'm at a high frequency and I'm feeling very good about, what's going on and what this person wants and what I can help them and align with, the fear and doubt conversation from them, somehow, I'm, instead of having the skill set maybe to bring them up, I often find myself, with a lower frequency.
Sure, we all do that.
Okay, so the last exercise last time I was here that really brought me back was seeing the frustration, and the other side of it was vulnerability.
Right.
Which was so weird to me to even see that. And now, then this coach shows up that says, we're going to work on your heart, for the next year. I just wanted to hear what you would have to say about that. Because I feel like I'm falling into these conversations often. Like, my vision's clear. I feel zero resistance. And at the same time, I'm attracting all different walks of life. And the common side conversation I think that they have is, I want that, but do you know that these obstacles, do you know these situations, and these are the ones that I live, you know what I'm saying? So instead of talking solution, it's really problem a lot of
The people you're attracting are more problem-oriented, is what you're
not
saying?
all. I mean, not all, but it's the ones that I feel like I want to help the most.
Ah, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a message in there. Why do you want to help them the most?
Because they want it, they don't have access to it.
No, inside you.
Pardon me?
Inside you. What is it about? What's inside you that
Well, I've
wants to
always
help
been for
them?
the underdog. I don't, I've always been for the underdog.
So that would be right there is something you can change. Stop looking at them as underdogs.
Oh.
That's the same thing about the charity thing we were talking about, is that we want to help them, and so we run in to save the day because
Well,
they
I don't
can't
even
do it.
feel like I'm saving the day because it's a really self-care. Like I just had kind of a text going on.
Yeah, so you're doing well overall. This is just a little bump, that's all. And so can you
coming through several people,
Well, it's never going to end until you change the vibration that's attracting it.
Okay, so that's the part. That's the part.
Dang, I hate this law of attraction.
Can I share one situation because I'd love your feedback on this and to see where I'm
Sure,
at.
got about
Okay.
5 minutes here.
Making arrangements for a trip, 3 people, right? I'm fine, whatever. Someone wants to go make the reservation, you're good, go for it, I trust you. They do it. They're millennial, very young, and the accommodations were sofa beds.
Or what?
Sofa beds.
Okay.
Sofa bed. I'm thinking, okay, I'll adjust. I can handle it, right? And the other person was like, I can't do it. I can't sleep on a sofa bed for a week. I'm like, okay. I found another thing. She don't like that either. I said, well, why don't you figure out what you want, find it, and we'll all be good with it. I don't have time.
Well, you're already down here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so by that time you kind of lost the battle.
Got
it. So this is for all of us, is that fine-tuning about the emotions. As soon as you start to feel the dip is when you got to do the correction. So you said you were feeling really good. And so one of two things happen. Either it started to slip, and it does for all of us. We get used to not feeling that good, so we go over there. Or you weren't actually feeling that good, but you're used to telling yourself that you were feeling good. This is another one of those things a lot of us do. That's where a lot of illnesses come from. We're used to putting the smiley face on for people, but really we're not feeling as good as we would like to feel. And so that's really getting really authentic with how you're feeling and moving it up. Kathy, did you have a comment? Quick.
Yeah, actually, you answered your own comment at the beginning story example that you gave. You said, I feel like I don't have the skill set to really help this person. And so go within yourself and find out, why are you feeling that way? Because you have the skill set to help that person, but why do you feel like you don't?
Or how can you feel that
Whatever the reason is, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can look inside yourself and find it, but you answered your own question if you listen.
Yeah, find a way to pivot that. So how can I help this person? How can I help myself? Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Thanks. Great way to start wrapping up here.
Another little observation when you said, well, they got a sofa bed. Well, I decided, I can put up with that. But that's settling for less for you. Being true to you was you'd really rather have just a regular bed. And so that's when your energy started going down, and you were coming out of alignment, getting in the lower. Just because you agreed to settle for less, but the truth is you'd really rather have a different bed. It wasn't right or wrong. It's just energy. And many times I'm not guilty. I do it a lot of times. I have all my life. I'll settle. I'll go lower so you can be happy. It's okay. But what I learned is I wasn't honoring and respecting myself, and that's why I wrote the book, because that's why the first time it was free to be me, and then I realized, I stepped into a life of joy, because I started being true.
Computer just crashed.
Yeah, long story, sorry.
You don't have to do anything, Deb. It seems to do that every meeting about this time. It's telling us to wrap it up.
What is that?
That's our 5-minute warning.
That's pretty funny.
So everybody clear on the touchstone list? You're writing down successes, right?
Good.
Where you were in alignment, you attracted something that you wanted, even when you didn't take any action, but you still attracted something you want. Universe is making it happen. You just don't need to take that much action.
Oh, Barry Ellen did have one more thing.
Okay.
This is so small a story next to all this other, but I was in church Sunday, and this person's sitting next to me, and I like her, but she starts blowing her nose and sniffling, and at the end of the service, we hold hands and sing. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I can tell her I don't want to hold your hand because you've been blowing your nose and sniffling. And I thought, well, I could tell her I have allergies and I don't want to, give anybody anything. And then I saw this person come in, and I thought, well, I could act like I just want to go talk to her.
You kind of lost the battle at this point.
I could move, but the point is a good point at the end, because this person that I went and sat next to so needed to talk, and she wanted to talk to me. So it was just kind of interesting how that played out.
Great. So good for you. So then you played it out by following your guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the difference was pivoting from what you didn't want to something you did want, and that's what made it work out. Okay. So how quick can we make it?
Well, I was having trouble with the word focus, remember? And it was work. And, I needed to work on it. And I was just crazed for like a year about, God, this focus thing. And not realizing, then finally getting it, that our natural state is to be happy. It doesn't take all this work. The focus is the fun part. But sometimes when it comes out, it sounds like, I got homework, I'm going to sit at home and try to figure it out, I'm going to get on the computer. It's not. It's a really
That's
cool
action,
word.
yeah. Alignment first. Action comes whenever you have time.
I think
first.
Switching the word from focus to feeling, and you know what it feels like to feel happy, that was helpful. Yeah.
All right, so let's get wrapped up here so we can get you guys out and get some cookies.
I don't want them all to go home.
Please.
You had two.
So what do we learn today? We learned that the more we cling to what we have, the less that we allow to come to us. We are the valve. The more in alignment you are and you work on it, and there's a million ways to do it, the more the energy can flow, and you'll get the things that you want. It's just learning to trust the law of attraction and your own inner guidance system in conjunction with each other. This is just practice. So if it doesn't feel good, it's not good for you. That's the equation. If it does feel good to you, it is good for you. You will attract the things that line up with you, period. There's no exceptions to this. Just be sure of your feelings. Learn to tune in, feel. One of the great things I learned just recently from somebody we listened to is when you catch yourself in your head a lot and you're not sure, picture kind of a golden orb of your consciousness and just move it down into your solar plexus. Just kind of breathe it down. And just feel that energy right there. And then feel it permeate throughout your whole body. And then you'll be tapped back into the guidance again. That's where you start to get your answers. So it's just that simple. Get out of the head and into the heart space.
And the minute I feel a little anxiety or a little something that I don't like that feeling, I'll do like that. But first I picture myself breathing it in, because that's source coming in you. And then you can visualize it going from your head, analyzing things, down to your heart, which is then connected to that's where all the joy is, in your heart.
Yeah. It just takes a little faith. We always like to say three parts to it. It's faith that this actually works. Just taking our word for it, right? So hang on to the faith for a little while. Practice it every day till you're consistent, right? And then have some patience with yourself. Because the first thing we'll do if we don't get it right, hit ourselves over the head, right? Bad me.
We can't be the only ones that done that.
So stop that. So stop doing that. Have patience with yourself. You're doing fine. Everything is going fine for you. So just let things work out. And before long, you'll be attracting front row parking places and the money that you want and everything else. Just that easy.
And the relationships?
Relationships, the health. So open networking right after the meeting here. Talk to each other, get a cookie, get some water. The audio recording of the meeting will be up on YouTube whenever Katie gets it up there in a few days. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please go to YouTube and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. The channel is Personal Success Programs.
No. Those little emotional scale cards that you got, if you picked one up, on the back is the company Personal Success Program, so that's where you find it on YouTube.
Or you can email us, contact us
you
through
can
the
pick up one
Meetup
of our
group.
business cards out there.
Yeah, we don't, because we follow our own rule, we don't solicit our own services here. But if you want to talk to us afterwards, we're happy to
It's
share.
after
any
8 o'clock.
That's right. So the next meetups will be on, we're going to have a holiday party at our house, potluck. If you guys want to come, it's up on the Meetup group website on the 10th of December. I think that's a Sunday.
It was really fun. We had a whole lot of fun. So.
Had a lot of fun, yeah. Full house.
Yep.
And then the next meetup will be on December 15th. It's called Putting the Happy Back into Your Holidays. We'll talk more about what we talked about here today, how to get that happiness factor on all fronts, health, wealth, and relationships, so you guys can have a fantastic holiday season. And my ending quote for today is to just remember that everything that you're seeking is seeking you. Law of Attraction guarantees it. So go off and have a wonderful month, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Good work.